I'm Anna.
I'm Ben.
We're AutoSave. Welcome to our channel.
Today we're watching Made in Abyss, Season 1, Episode 6. Last episode, we got to the inverted forest, and we are upon the Seeker camp.
Yes.
But it doesn't seem like Reg's going anywhere, because it
He's
seems like...
He's a little tied up. He's a little occupied at the moment.
He reached his arms out, and I believe that Ozen the Immovable is holding on to the other end.
And that is not what you'd want, as a person with immense strength to be holding on to your appendages like that.
Yeah, I mean, okay, we could look at it one of two ways. One, Ozen the Immovable is going to be very anime and, okay, you can't get past me unless you're able to move me. Or Ozen the Immovable is just like holding hands with Reg and just comforting him.
And you don't know what move necessarily means. Move me physically or move me emotionally.
Yeah.
Exactly. Like, reach into my heart and touch it, that kind of thing. And I think Rico could totally do that.
Agreed.
We also had incineration last episode.
Definitely a part of last episode.
Definitely a part of last episode.
We're going to try to regulate it. We're going to try to...
LOL.
Yeah. We're going to try to, improve our control of our move sets. But we'll see how it goes. You ready?
Yeah.
Sweet. I love the detail.
I love the contrast between the characters and the details of the objects in the room.
Do you think Ozen has come across Reg before? I mean, if Liza took note.
I mean, Ozen saw the sealed documents probably, right?
夜の闇や巧妙な罠の中ではなく、それは隔絶された場所で時を重ねて純度を高め、得体の知れない謎へと変わっていく。
I'm a little unsettled.
I feel like I'm about to go into a boss's lair.
Yeah.
Feels like a video game soundtrack.
So good. Reminds me of Celeste.
Tall.
How filthy.
Filthy?
Oh my god.
Filthy?
I don't know.
What does filthy mean?
I loved that soundtrack. Have we heard that before?
It sounded new to me.
She was like, and the boy's doing fine. Okay, so do you think that was Ozen being like, the boy is doing fine, this is my first time seeing the boy? Or like the boy as in, like, she has previous knowledge of Reg?
Ooh.
Alright.
That looks like what they used to carry Rico back up.
The sound. What?
君は赤笛だろう。ダメだろうに、こんなところまで来ちゃう。お母さんのことだけ聞いたらすぐに出て行きますから。だから。ああ、そうなんだ。それは君らがここに来ていい理由になるのかい？ごめんなさい。
The soundtrack too. I'm so uneasy.
マルルク。はい、おしさま。
Maru.
この子たちの話聞いといて。 子供同士の方が話しやすかろ。話は明日聞かせてあげよう。
Tomorrow.
お二人ともこれを。青笛。
That's so cool.
他の探掘家に赤笛がここにいる理由をいちいち説明
True.
するのも面倒。
So like it's almost, is it a pain or is it protection?
出るときにその青笛と交換、ちんと体も洗っておくように。まったくゲロ臭くてかなわん。
That is fair. That's fair.
Rika's been through a lot.
まずはここをご案内しますね。今も少しずつ内側の枠を広げて縦増ししているんですよ。この大ポルタの根っこ
Does she have like bags on her
遠く海の
headband?
底まで伸びているそうです。海の底に積もった栄養を取るから力場からの光が薄くても大きく育つとか。
Whoa.
そこの
She
殻が
does.
裏穴の内側なんです。
Rock.
すぎて絡め取られたりしないのだろうか。
How does she know Ozen? What's the connection there?
How is she there in a blue whistle and also a kid?
不屈の花。
Flowers of Fortitude.
Wasn't she using this to season her food?
さんに言われるまでは人だと思っていました。だから腕が伸びた時はちょっとびっくりしましたけど。どうされました？不思議に思ってることがあってだな。何ですか？その、君は女なのか？
Does that mean no?
なるほど。
Oh my god.
大変なんだな。やだな、レグさん。僕そんなことされてませんよ。ごめん、レグ。何か拭くもの。
I wonder if Marluke was given the blue whistle too,
Yeah.
just to be able to stay down there with Ozen.
青笛になれるのは15歳からですが、白笛の直弟子ということで。
Ah. Apprentice.
事故で行き倒れてたところをお日様に拾われて、僕日の光に弱くて。
Where were you found?
Good question.
そうなんだ。さあ、いただきましょう。
Ozen mentioned another kid or thing that she wanted to bring back instead of Rico.
Yeah. And it was bring him back, right?
僕を拾って以来、ずっとシーカーキャンプの先森を買って出てるんです。いちいち地上に戻らなくていいって理由らしいんですが、本心も入っているんでしょうけど、本当によくしてもらってるんです。なんだか怖そうな人だったけど、いいお師匠さんだね。ええ、本当に。
God, I'm so curious to know more about Ozen.
この辺で取れた遺物を選別した残り。
Huh.
4級遺物の
Grade 4 relics.
遺物って真相にあるものほど複雑な形をしてるのが多いそうですよ。この辺で取れるものはまだ4割くらいは卵型の遺物なんです。
Which we saw before entering the inverted forest.
もっと止まっていてくれれば探掘もできるのに。そうだ、僕お師様にお願いしてみます。いいの？同い年くらいの子がここに来たのって初めてで、僕お二人と一緒に。
Do you think Ozen will allow it?
したいです。ごめんね、マルルクちゃん。奈落の底にいるお母さんがどんな感じかわからなくて、だから急いでいいのかどうかもわからなくて。
Oof.
わからないから急がなくちゃいけないんだ。今日はたくさんお話ししましょう。お師様からそうするように言われてますし。
I hope they told him all about Nat and Shiggy, you know, the whole life up there.
おしっこ。
I'm so unsettled and I can't explain it.
I feel like you could get lost in here.
What the fuck? It looked like a
Like
body
rib
that was cut
cage,
open.
but
Yeah,
like
yeah. You
a-
saw like a spine in the back.
まあリコさん、僕も
Oh, did she wet the bed?
しかしリコ、なぜまた僕の寝床で寝小便を夜起きて探している時に私見たのでこの世のものじゃないみたいで
These the disturbing things that Habo warned about?
Maybe.
やだなリコさんシーカーキャンプにお化けの噂はありませんよそうだぞリコレグそんな日
He doesn't like ghost stories. I understand why he's sweating.
おし様
I don't know if I should trust Ozen or not. They look so cool.
君は気づいてないのではなく、あの子にもハボルグにも何も知らされてないのか。
Like Leader and Habo didn't like properly warn Rico?
知りたいかい？だったらついておいで。そうじゃなければ見たことは忘れるんだね。
Like if you don't want to understand it, you best just forget it.
レグ
When she was referring to that kid, was she referring to Leader?
確認したいんだけどさ、君はライザの行方を追っているとか。ライザは死んでいる。君が母を追う旅はここで終わりだよ。
どこでその笛や風書を見つけたんですか
墓だよ。
At a grave.
Oh, like when they pile
も
all
う何
the...
日前だったかな。常しえ港の群生地があってね。そこに墓ができてたんだよ。
でもお母さんは私を呼んで
それ、ライザの
That's not Liza's handwriting?
Who's waiting then?
なぜそんなものが紛れてたのか知らないけどさ。ライザはいたずらでもそんな字は書かないよ。君が奈落の底を目指す理由は何だっけ？
私自分で確かめに
それは明暗だ。墓でも暴いてみるかね。
それに風書にあった謎の人影もレグに関係が
Gosh, she's so tall.
資質さ。知りたいからついてきたんだろう。
It's a room of secrets. Why do you look worried about
Right?
it too? Like, have you never been in the chamber? Do you know the chamber?
Alright, we have books.
Yeah, that's
That's
not
fine.
so
The hat.
ominous.
We like
oh,
that.
the outfit.
Yeah,
from-
yeah. Nothing's wrong.
That also isn't very spooky looking.
A cube?
A cube. I was expecting that weird body thing from when she woke up in the middle of the night.
Okay, that was Made in Abyss, Season 1, Episode 6. I know that everything is pointing towards Ozen being terrifying and unsettling, creepy, potentially even an antagonist, but I love them. Like, I want to love them so bad.
I disagree because it's pointing that way. I think it's leading toward Ozen being good guy
I love
and
their
not
character.
an antagonist.
Yeah?
Yeah, but I mean antagonizing in
So
some.
do you think it's
some
like
way.
subverting our expectations with that?
Yes, especially that like creepy smile we get as we're going up the stairs. Ozen is like a specific personality. They've been down here for like who knows how long.
Yeah.
And probably don't have like tons of contact with people. They're very like individualistic, independent, have very strong opinions.
Yeah.
And I feel like everything that's pointing toward the like ominous, scary, threatening, antagonizing is more just like everything Ozen said. If you take away the tone at which Ozen said it,
Mm-hmm.
it's just like telling truth to a kid.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Like, like you weren't told this.
Yeah.
And maybe having a little too much fun, like a sadistic liking of saying disturbing things to a child. Maybe that's there, yes. But like if
Yeah.
you took away that tone, is just someone that's like telling some facts.
That's true. And we also know that Ozen took in and has taken care of a kid with no ulterior motive, seemingly. I don't know, though.
And a kid that seems to respect Ozen.
Yeah. I don't know, though, because, like, the experiments or whatever I assume them to be, like it looked like a corpse of somebody with no, like internal organs or anything like that. Everything was removed, and it was like, I don't know, like a zombie like monster. Like I'm like, okay, is Ozen like a mad scientist like cooking up?
Are we trying to Frankenstein? Are we trying to figure out how to bring back cave raiders from the dead? Are we trying to undo effects from certain ailments? Like, are we experimenting on bodies in order to discover ways to cure certain ailments that come from traveling into the abyss? Is it like for science sake or for the good of the future cave raiders? Or is it like mad scientist, I'm trying to understand things for my own like personal curiosity?
One, we had a really good line at the beginning of the episode that might be pointed towards Ozen. True secrets do not lie concealed in the darkness of night or in clever traps, but rather are hidden deep within people. Like, we don't know enough, but like my gut is like, oh, I wanting to love Ozen, being like, Ozen's probably been through a fuck ton. Ozen and Liza went on this expedition together to the Unheard Bell, and only the two of them made it out alive, right? Like, what does that do to a person? Like, are you trying to find a way to bring them back, like you said? Are they just kind of morbidly curious and a character, and that's why they're like this? I don't know.
Or do they try to pass it off as morbid curiosity, but really they're trying to find ways to fix, and so it never happens again, the death of comrades they've had in the past?
Maybe. I don't know. What'd you think of Ozen's like reaction or response to seeing Liza's whistle? There was this like really cool audio, like
And she was
yeah,
at it?
yeah, like I don't know. It's obviously Ozen had a hand in delivering that, but it's like just like infatuation or like with the memory of it or something. I don't know.
I also don't know how much, like, we have this idea, and it keeps being shown to us with the different adult characters interacting with Rico, of like not giving full stories or full information, but also could possibly be trying to subtly hint at things, or, you know, go away from the truth a little bit, say something that would pique a kid's curiosity. Like when Ozen's like, oh, I don't know how that got in there, that's not Liza's handwriting. I'm like, do you really not know how that got in there?
Yeah.
Do you know whose handwriting that is? Like, that made me a little like suspicious. Like that one line, I was like, sure, okay. Do I fully believe that you don't know how that got into those documents that you sent to the surface?
Yeah.
And who wrote it?
Also, what is it? Should I just take it as face value of that's not Liza's handwriting? Or do you think it was supposed to be like implied that that's not something Liza would say? You know, obviously handwriting's a very specific like terminology, so I'd assume that she meant both. But
I would go with both, because I'm pretty sure she then also like clarified in like the next line that was like, not only that not her handwriting, but it's not something she would have said even as a joke.
So what do you think is the fate of Liza? Do you think that she is dead? Like, obviously we're told it, and we're told that she has a grave, and she's even like, Rico, what are you gonna do? Dig her up, you know?
I feel like finding Liza alive was never really what the point seemed to be for this journey. I feel like regardless of if, like, Rico keeps saying, oh, I'm going because my mom summoned me, my mom called me, my mom wanted me to do this. Riko wanted to do this regardless, and then once she got the documents, that's what pushed her to do it sooner.
And then
And
Reg's
like more
being
immediately.
too.
And then Reg, she also has a reason to want to go down there because of Reg. So like personal ambitions, mom and Reg, if you remove one of those, there's still the other two.
Yeah.
So
I just mean going forward though. Do you think that that we come across Liza's grave, we pay our respects later on?
that's a really
that
good question of if
character's like
Riko would even
shelved.
do that.
Yeah,
Because Riko has said to us before about not even knowing this person, not even like knowing the sound of their voice really. And so would Riko choose to go to the grave site?
I mean,
It's a good
I
question.
feel like you'd come across it just going further down to the abyss at a certain point.
And if you're wanting to see, if one of your motivations to exploring is seeing all of these sites that your parents had seen and discovering all of these things that are in your mom's sealed documents and journals and these locations and these creatures, and live vicariously, like, live your life through kind of seeing things through her eyes.
Yeah.
You might want to go to that field that apparently was one of her favorite locations to go to.
Then do you think that the person who wrote the letter was the person who buried her? Because
That would be
she can't
interesting.
bury herself, right? If she is dead, then somebody must have known her well enough to know that she loved that area with the flowers of fortitude and everything.
To specifically bury her there.
Yeah. Who would have
And
been there?
a nice grave too, in a location that this person loved, and with like, a marker for the grave, and probably the documents and the whistle nicely displayed underneath the like marker, which was the pickaxe.
Yeah. And if there was another person with her when she died, would that person be the one to send the letter? Did they know of Reg? Like Reg's involvement in this is like one of the most interesting parts of it to me. Like
There was definitely the impression that grave had been there for a while because the flowers had already started, I think, vining around the pickaxe.
yeah. We had a line from Orzen saying we even
Orzen?
had to leave behind that precious bell. And then, if only I had left you there, that kid would have come with me. Is that Morolk, or is that a character? Because I don't know. I feel like with the terminology, it's a character we don't know, a kid we don't know, and that kid probably would be much older by now, right? Like,
Or when we get the line brat at the very end of last episode and beginning of this episode, we debated of who Ozen was referring to.
yeah,
And I was wondering if Ozen, in terms of like personality and not necessarily age, thinks of Liza as a brat. And that Liza would be the kid that, well, obviously Liza wouldn't be able to carry Riko up by themselves. It was because of Ozen being there that Liza was able to get Riko up to the surface. So if Ozen had left Riko there, that kid would have had to come with.
yeah.
Right? I mean, possibly. But I like the idea that it was Morulk. That name is going to be so hard to pronounce.
Yeah.
It's like Milk
Marulk.
Morulk.
Yeah. I don't, but like that sadistic smile that you get from Ozen can it so easily can be like just played up as something, but I don't know like the vibe I should be feeling in the show. I'm so unsettled by it.
When Reg
I love
first
it.
meets Ozen, Reg has this dialogue piece of talking about how Ozen gets their hair that way.
Yeah.
Ozen purposefully styles their hair or gels it in a way to look like horns.
Ozen's a character. Ozen's theatric.
Ozen is a personality, and that's
Yeah.
why I'm not like totally on board with actually thinking that they have definite malicious intent or that they are an actual antagonist. I think they can be antagonizing,
Do you think
but not
that
necessarily like antagonist.
Do you think that Ozen has a reason to like love or admire the bull? Like, is there something within like in that, I don't know, that stereotype of a bull like that Ozen relates to, you know?
Possibly, maybe we need to get some red flags and see what Ozen does in reaction.
Yeah. I don't know. What do you think of the flowers of fortitude? What do you think that like they're their presence being brought up again and again, and it's like we're told that there's that connection with Liza with them too.
I feel like it's possible that we have now just landed on the reason that it was brought up throughout this journey into the abyss, and Rico
Liza
uses it as a cooking spice, and then we get it at the beginning of the episode, it being in the windowsill. So I'm like, is it just planted there purely for us to get to this moment of disturbing information?
Yeah.
Possibly.
I kind of feel bad for Merolk because I'm like, yeah, okay, obviously there's that urgency that Rico has in regards to her mother, which I don't know if that urgency she feels like is somewhat taken away after learning what she learned from Orzen. But like Merolk was like, oh yeah, you can stay here for a bit and go cave raiding. Like that'd be awesome. We talked about like grade 4 relics and how it seems like the deeper you go down, the more complex the relics design is going to be. Which is awesome.
I honestly don't know exactly what's going to happen. Like, I think it's a really great question to bring up of, we get, Rico for a second there being excited about staying on this layer and digging for grade 4 artifacts with Merolk, and then it was like, no, I can't because my mom's waiting for me. But now that kind of idea that your mom is waiting for you is gone.
Yeah.
Do you have the same urgency? I think that's a really great question of trying to figure out what next episode's going to be. I mean, if I were Rico, I think even if my mom wasn't waiting for me, someone is, because that piece of paper got in there that said, I'm waiting.
And that mystery enough. Yeah.
I mean, to Rico, her mom is still a person that she does not know, is still a stranger, that there's some sentimentality there of like, that was my mother and they saved me and they carried me to the surface, and I would like to see what they've seen, but they're still a stranger.
Yeah.
And I think that to Rico, it still might be interesting or tantalizing, the thought that somehow a letter that Ozen doesn't even know where it came from got snuck into those documents for Rico to see.
Yeah. And Ozen had some line this episode about how Uncle Habo and that kid didn't tell her about what like this secret is, or this other side of Ozen is. Was that other kid that they were referring to the leader? I would assume so, right?
Because of the fact that Rico has already talked about the leader to Ozen, that I think that would be a fair assumption. And from the last time Ozen would have been on the surface, I'm sure leader was a very young child.
So what is it?
This cube?
Yeah, it's like pearlescent. It's so bizarre.
Is the mystery the cube itself, or is the cube another type of vessel that holds something?
I think that's a good guess.
That the cube isn't what we should be like, whoa, about, but maybe like something's inside the cube.
Well, the cube itself might be like a relic, like in itself, right? Like that has its own abilities,
like the curse repelling one that we took Rico up to the surface.
Yeah, or the bell itself, right? And Ozen could be holding on to it for a reason. Like, I don't know how grim to go. Like, if it is something like a curse repelling vessel, but it's something to try to keep somebody alive or like, restart that life, that could potentially explain what happened earlier in the episode, which I want to go back to real quick because I know we didn't get too many shots of what it looked like, but we had one or two. And there was definitely some parts of this thing that looked human.
And other parts, like the arms and legs, that definitely didn't.
I don't know, dude. It looks like the body itself looks like it started to be human and it's been cut up into something else. Like, you can see its spine, like, pushing it forward.
What has me so confused is we get this look at it, but a minute earlier we had a shadow that seemed like it had a head.
Yeah, I took that to be Ozen.
And that Ozen was creating some type of thing for Rico to witness, or leading Rico to witness.
I don't think Ozen knew Rico was there.
Oh, okay.
Because, like, Rico was just going to pee, you know?
I don't know. I was thinking Ozen might be, like, into, like, silly, goofy time at night. I'm gonna
Yeah.
spook this kid and, start to show them the disturbing things just to see. Because what she learns from this, Ozen, after overhearing their conversation after Rico wet the bed, is that Rico wasn't told the truths or all the details. And so it's possible that it could have been a test by Ozen to see if Rico was aware or knew the horrors that could be awaiting.
Yeah. Huh. I had a couple more things. One, the sensitivity to light from Marolk. Do you think that she was born in the Abyss?
I think it's possible to assume that.
Or she's just been gone for so long from the top?
That's also because she was so young. If you, being so young, aren't immediately... I feel like if you were born in a very, very dark place and didn't come to the sunlight, until you were older, and having never experienced that, I could see that having ill effects on you.
Yeah, same here. Okay, my last thing is I love that Rico and Reg were given like blue whistles temporarily. It's like a fake ID almost. Like you're given this so that if anybody stumbles upon you, even though we've seen nobody else here, they just assume, oh yeah, there's no issue with this. That sounds about right. I hope that if Ozen does take that character route of being somebody who's not like evil and is somebody who's more of like our teammate, they're just like, oh yeah, keep him, you deserve him, you made it down this far,
See, I like that, but I'm also like, but isn't it much cooler possibly to have them receive their actual identification back that shows how they shouldn't be there, and then have them go deeper?
See, the fact that Marolk is like considered an apprentice makes me trust Ozen, right?
Mm-hmm. Seems more like it seems like Marolk is possibly confused or a little bit bewildered by how Ozen is acting or speaking around Rico, which has me thinking that the only reason is because Liza is a trigger for some reason to Ozen.
Yeah.
And Ozen feels maybe some amount of responsibility to act a certain way, either unconsciously, like subconsciously or consciously toward Rico because they're Liza's kid. Maybe there's a responsibility of putting on certain airs in order to prepare this kid for what they're going to be witnessing and what they're going to be doing. And so you do have some sort of like care toward Liza, that you're going to have a little bit of responsibility toward that child in the same way that Leader and Habo did. It's like maybe like this is Rico's journey, meeting all of her mother's friends, and they'll all, try to be good by her in their own way.
Yeah. Do you think that if that's the case, then, that we're going to hear more from Ozen about what Liza was like? Because we were given like, oh, that's not something that Liza would say or do, but like, what is? I want to know much more. I want to know, we heard what Liza was like on the surface. I want to know what Liza was like in the Abyss.
I can't yet guess if Ozen's the type of character that would be willing to sit down and talk about things that people that they believe have passed, because I'm sure that they've dealt with a lot of death and a lot of people dying in their life, and so they might not want to go back in the past and relive what people were like. If they do talk about Liza, it might purely just be based on like achievements and not necessarily personality. I can't quite peg whether or not Ozen would want to have a conversation like that.
Yeah. The dialogue for Liza's grave: in the far reaches of the goblets of giants, there's this cluster of eternal fortunes you see. And a grave had been dug there. Why was Ozen there? Sorry.
Because Ozen... that's a really good question. I thought Ozen stayed in the Seeker camp for the most part, because they are the guardian of the Seeker camp.
See, and even if they like just venture and explore, do their own cave raiding, like this is a very specific place to go. Do you like? I feel like
Sentimental?
Maybe, right? Maybe Ozen came down here to this place because they remembered that Liza loved it, and then were surprised to see this.
It's possible that throughout these years, Ozen has been trying to find out if Liza's alive.
Maybe.
And maybe that's why the personality and the way that Ozen is acting is the way that it is after finding the grave, because maybe for years they've been wondering and looking.
Yeah. I like Ozen. I like their character design a lot.
I like Ozen so
cool.
much. The character design, the creepy smiles.
The soundtrack this episode was insane. I've been complimenting it on every episode we've watched, but this hit so much different. This felt like I don't even know. Like the budget of it was insane. Like it felt like a I compared it in the reaction to Celeste, which is like one of my favorite games of all time. But one of the things that's best about that game is the atmosphere they're able to convey by a soundtrack where it's like if you step into a different room and a different environment and it is visibly different, that's one thing. But to be able to incorporate a soundtrack that sounds so similar to a completely different vibe, but so different at the same time, like to convey that eeriness rather than that joy or wonder that we were getting before, an adventure. It's so cool. It's so well done.
It's definitely been one of the best parts of the show has been the soundtrack.
I agree.
It really like has you feeling that it has the other world vibe. It has that feeling like you are somewhere new that you've never been before, and so it has all of the music has had this somewhat excitement and hopefulness, but also like this doom of you don't know and something bad could happen. The whole idea and lore of if it comes from the abyss, it'll go back to the abyss. There is this energy with it, with all throughout. It's like seamless. So good.
All right. That's all I have you.
Yes.
Thank you guys so much for watching this video. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and we hope to see you next time.